WIBTA if I used part of my paternity leave to visit my family? My wife and I have been arguing about this for weeks and she suggested I post here. My wife is 16 weeks pregnant with our first child. We have been discussing how to use our family leave. Each of us get 8 weeks of family leave to be used within the first year of the baby's life. My wife is planning on taking her whole 8 weeks right when the baby is born. She thinks that I should take 2 weeks when the baby is born and 6 weeks when she goes back to work, so that we don't need to put the kid in childcare until he's 14 weeks old. The issue is that I want to use 2 weeks of my paternity leave to visit my family who live out of states. I don't have to use vacation days. I gave her 2 options. 1. I can spend 6 weeks with the baby when she goes back to work, but I won't take the first 2 weeks off. Point 2. I can take 2 weeks off when the baby is born and then 4 weeks off when she goes back to work. This is my preference. My wife says this is unacceptable and that I'm prioritizing my family over her and the baby. I disagree. I don't think it makes much of a difference if the baby starts daycare at 12 or 14 weeks. I only get to see my family once or twice a year since they moved out of state, and I think this is a good opportunity to do so without it impacting our vacation time. I think her dislike of my family is affecting her logic, and that if they got along better, she would be fine with this arrangement. Plus, lots of men don't take paternity leave and their families manage. I'm still dedicating 6 weeks to the baby, so we will have plenty of bonding time. AITA, or is she being unreasonable? Ha, your wife knew you'd get shredded on here, lol. YTA. Your first act as a father is going to be stealing resources from your newborn baby. Of course. YTA. YTA. If I were your mother, you would be hearing about it from all the way out of state, and you wouldn't need a phone. So, you are proposing your wife be home alone with a newborn, or home alone, working, with an infant in daycare, alone the rest of the day and night, for 2 weeks, while you are on vacation? And your mother has not ripped you a new one? I wouldn't like her either. LMAO. So you're going to use 2 weeks of your paternity leave within the first 8 weeks of your baby's life, and leave your wife with a newborn on her own? Because clearly you can't go after her leave is up, and you're obviously not going to take the baby. YTA. YTA. You're really getting an impressive head start on the whole deadbeat dad thing. YTA. Why isn't your family visiting you? Why do you want to put your infant in daycare so fast? Your newborn takes precedence. Let's flip it, shall we? Imagine your wife told you she wants to go on a 2-week holiday not too long after the baby is born. She doesn't get to go on holiday much, so this would be the ideal time to go whilst she's entitled to maternity leave. What would you say to that? It's rhetorical, by the way, because we know damn well what you'd say. YTA, especially for giving your wife options to pick from as if you aren't supposed to be partners who work together to problem solve. You are completely underestimating the absolute blur of physical pain, sleep deprivation that is having a new baby if you think this is vacation time. YTA. Hey man, your family is your wife and child. Focus on seeing them. YTA. YTA. Unless you're planning on taking the baby with you when you go visit your family. Oh, and maybe your wife can go too? Nice try to get out of parenting a young baby for a whole fortnight, leaving your wife to cope completely alone back home. Disgusting move. YTA. So you want to leave your wife alone after she has a new baby? Do you even love or care about your wife? This is gonna be one of the hardest things she will ever go through, and you want to leave her alone? Question mark. During one of the hardest times having a baby? Your parent leave is for you to be a parent, not to take a vacation? Well, you let your wife take a 2-week vacation while you watch the baby for 2 weeks? Not only are you being a bad parent, but a bad father as well if you do this. WIBTA. Paternity leave is for new fathers to bond with baes, help out mom, do any number of childcare related things in the first year of baby's life. It is not for a holiday for you to visit relatives out of town. Your wife is right. Boy howdy, WIBTA. Paternity leave is for parenting, not for going on vacation. WIBTA. Paternity leave is there so you can bond with your child and help your wife recover from childbirth. And yes, so that the baby can spend more time at home before having to go into childcare. It is not there for you to take a 2-week solo vacation. Your wife doesn't really an option but to take her entire 8 weeks right away, or to use it for vacationing. She will be recovering and trying to adjust to life with a baby. WIBTA. It's not just starting daycare at 12 weeks. It's leaving your wife behind with a newborn all by herself on top of working, while you go relax with your family. That is a seriously asshole move. You are clearly clueless about how draining having a baby is. If you go, you might come back to changed locks and divorce papers. You will have a 3-month-old baby, 12 weeks. And you are planning to abandon your newborn baby and your still exhausted wife for 2 weeks while you go off on holiday? No new father should consider leaving their wife and baby for even a single night at any point in the first year without careful planning and a lot of conversation about how their family will cope. Without their support, your wife will have just spent 9 months growing a new human inside her, many hours giving birth to your baby, either pushing a human head out of a hole normally designed for something a lot smaller, or by having major surgery, no recovery time before, taking primary responsibility for feeding a tiny human every 34 hours, where every feed plus nappy change takes an hour minimum, so she won't have had more than 23 hours uninterrupted sleep in those 3 months since the birth. Possibly longer if her sleep was disturbed during the last weeks, months of pregnancy due to not being able to get comfortable because of the tiny human growing inside her. And she may well have PPD, postpartum depression, where she is not functioning at her best level because of the hormones in her body, the stress of the last 12 months. Your plans for the first 1,214 weeks need to keep this possibility in mind. ETA. And in your master plan, you will stay home with your baby until end of week 12 while she does 4 weeks at work. Then you fly off on holiday, leaving your wife to figure out the drop-off and pick up at daycare all on her own. For the first 2 weeks you are leaving your tiny baby with other people, along with her dealing with the emotional implications of abandoning her baby with strangers, because she has to work. And I promise the emotions she will be dealing with are very likely to be intolerable. Google it for yourself. But many countries give new mothers a year. 3 months is nothing like long enough to recover from pregnancy, childbirth, and prepare yourself to leave your child with strangers for long hours each day. So your wife, who has been running on little to no sleep for many months, will be left completely alone to look after your baby for 2 weeks because you fancy a holiday? I am hoping that this is one of those situations where you just haven't realized what life will be like for you guys once your first baby is here. It won't be like life pre-baby, but with a few cute photo ops and cuddles. It will be exhausting, and hopefully well worth it in the big picture, but definitely exhausting for both of you in the day-to-day. Go grovel to your wife and show her that you were just being a bit unthinking. And you're not really the YTA you've made yourself sound like here. YTA. Paternity leave is for you to be a father. Not to ditch your wife with a newborn you obviously couldn't care less about. In addition to being a total awe to your wife and child. Using it for personal vacation is committing fraud against your company. As for your ridiculous comparison to men who don't get paternity leave. If I type really slowly, will you understand? Men who, unfortunately, do not get paternity leave can still come home after their work shift and spend some time helping their wife and child. Even if it's only a few hours before bed. It's both support and bonding. You want to abandon them 24/7 for 2 weeks. YTA. Info. When would you be going to see your family? While the baby is a newborn or once the baby is older. Babies are incredibly demanding to take care of daycare or not. You have no idea if you will have an easy baby, a colicky baby, a baby with high needs, low needs. This is the worst time to be going out of state for 2 weeks. A lot of men don't take paternity leave. Their families manage. Yes, a lot of men don't always get it. You do. Use it to be with your child. Go ask any new mother how it was having to take care of a baby on their own because their husbands had to go back to work immediately. It's not fun. ETA. I have a 7 meters old whose dad did get time off. I still think YTA. YTA. I have a 7-month-old and can tell you that your wife will need you. Man up, stay home.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.